What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. You wanna go in the car? Come on. Up, up, up. Good boy.
It is currently 6 o'clock in the morning and HP and I are headed to the RV to not only prep it for its next rental, but to also inspect some damage that it had on its previous rental as well.
Now we're doing it incredibly early because it's getting incredibly hot in Texas, even by like 10 o'clock in the morning. So I'd rather do it when it's 85 degrees outside versus 105.
So on the last rental with our 29-foot RV, the renter unfortunately damaged it.
Now this was a 10-day long rental, and when the renter returned the vehicle on the 10th day, he began to act really odd. Whenever they're dropping it off, he was in the quickest rush I've ever seen somebody try to drop off a camper before, and he was almost like distracting me where I should be looking at all times. Now the first thing he admitted was, hey, when I was driving over here suddenly, just on the way back, like 3 minutes ago, this part of the fender fell off, which is really unusual. How does it just fall off? What a coincidence. And then as he was kind of going along, he also made another excuse. Oh, you know, the back of this was kind of ripped, so I bought you a new one. Oh, and then your license plate and everything, that started to crack and that flew off as well. Not sure what's going on, but I've got the license plate.
In HP and I's experience on both RV Share Outdoorsy and Turo, if a renter buys you something like this renter claimed to do with the license plate bracket and the cover for their spare, that's typically a sign that they did something wrong and they're claiming that they bought you something to be nice, but in actuality it was to cover their own butt.
As we kind of went along and we're checking in the RV, he started telling me that almost every side of the RV had something little wrong with it, and I really couldn't figure out why. It was kind of the strangest thing. The RV left in perfect condition whenever it went out. As soon as he left and I was taking my outside pictures, he didn't want to stick around for that. I started noticing small things, like chips in the vinyl starting to have big scratches on it. And then when I started kind of panning out and looking at the entire RV, I started noticing these scratches were all the way down the RV and even damaged some of these lower panels too.
So you can see here that there's like dents here, there is scratching all throughout, and the camera truly does not do it justice, but there is scratching throughout the entire RV. If you go down, you can see some areas where the scratching is pretty severe. Like right here, it's definitely not good. This is probably one of the more severe sections. This is like not just a scratch, this is like embedded into the paneling of the RV. If we go, you can continue seeing the scratches. Again, the camera just doesn't do it justice here.
Now, one thing the renter also did right before he returned it was he tried to wash away some of these scratches with the gas station squeegee, and it didn't obviously work.
So there are truly scratches on every single panel of this RV.
So it's pretty obvious that the renter probably got in a really bad, tight situation where they ended up running the entire side, left and right, and even the back against some trees and bushes, and it went the length of the entire RV. But now it's time to clean the RV because it's actually going out on another rental in a couple of days. Now, one thing is for sure, we definitely have our process down for cleaning this RV. It used to take us about like an hour to hour and a half. Now it only takes us about 30 to 45 minutes.
Now, all in all, I'm pretty content with how the RV is doing, given the fact that it started off incredibly slow last year whenever we initially listed it on these platforms. We listed it in September, October, and then it kind of just piddled along at the end of fall, winter, and spring. And it wasn't until late spring, early summer that things started to really pick up. But I do think that this type of damage that we're experiencing today is just kind of a testament of the type of damage you could probably expect if you choose to go this RV rental route. The reality is these things are massive to tow behind you, and I can totally see how a renter would hit trees, bushes, because Honestly, I would probably do the same thing if I towed this in my car, which is why I rely on HP to tow it. Now, in the case of this damage, as well as the previous damage claim that HP mentioned earlier, these were both done on the platform RVshare. And the way that damage claims work on a RVshare is a little bit different than some of these other platforms like Turo or Getaround, for example. With RVshare, you have 3 days to catch damage. And how it works is you submit an inspection with photos, you provide context for those photos, and then from there you have 3 days to edit or modify that form. Once that's done, you can then submit the damage based off of that original inspection form that you had 3 days to complete. So for example, if you met a renter and they returned the RV and you knew that the car had a little bit of damage, you could submit that claim right then and there. But then 2 days later, let's say you caught some more damage, you can then resubmit that damage into that same inspection form. And then after that 3-day period of time, the inspection form is finalized. And at that point in time, you cannot make any more edits or modifications. Then from there, once the inspection form is locked in and the damage claim is officially filed, you will then get an email from RVshare letting you know that the damage claim has been filed and that they'll be in touch. How Turo uses a company like Snapsheet or IAA, RVshare uses a company called DigiSure, which is just an insurance adjuster company. So then at that point, you'll be in touch with DigiSure, you'll be in touch with a representative with that company, at which point they'll get you a quote and they'll figure out how much they're going to pay you. Our previous claim with DigiSure was pretty straightforward because of the fact that it was just tires and that furnace door, but this one is definitely going to be a little bit more cumbersome, and because of that, I expect it's going to be a while before we get paid out.
Now, while we are dealing with the RV damage claim, we're dealing with a different kind of issue with our Ford Transit Campervan.
So unfortunately, I've been battling squirrels for a very long time, pretty much since we put this van in the backyard. I've been combating them with, well, mainly Nico, and having Nico run them out of the yard. But unfortunately, sometimes Nico doesn't come out all the time. It's just too hot for him. And the squirrels have started nesting again, and they have chewed through a wiring harness. So as you can see, one wire was completely chewed off and the other one was kind of gnawed on. Now I have to go through and repair the wires, and hopefully our van can start again, because even one small wire will keep this thing from running.
Now, I know it's been a while since we've shown the camper van on the channel, and there's a good reason for that, because it is so close to being done. I know that it's like a year and a half overdue at this point, but it is very close, and we will be doing a full camper van reveal in the next few weeks, so stay tuned for that.
But guys, as always, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and we'll see you on the next episode.